We've had some time for the dust to settle on the NBA draft lottery, and with a bit more time having passed, we have a much clearer picture of what it means for the Raptors to have lost that 2024 first-round pick. And in today's video, we're going to answer what the future outlook of the franchise looks like as a result. Let's get into it. With some time having passed in between the draft lottery, my mind and thoughts are a lot more clear as to what the scope of the Raptors is going forward. And perhaps it is for yourself, but over the course of the video here, I want to try to answer for you guys watching the video and also for myself, what does the outlook of this franchise look like? Like, what is the future? What does the future hold for this team? Should we be optimistic, pessimistic about where this team is heading, especially after losing again that 2024 first-round pick despite having tanked through much of the season? Well, we're going to try to answer all of these along the way here on Amateur Sports 2, the second channel in the Amateur Hour Production Network for additional Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel and drop a like if you enjoyed this one along the way. We're on the road to 2,000 subs. We're getting close, guys. Get subscribed, join along, and get videos Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the offseason right here. So I asked you guys in a poll, you, the Raptors community, you, the Amateur Hour Army, if you will, what are your feelings on the future outlook of the Toronto Raptors? And the majority of the votes went towards feeling neutral or indifferent, not really knowing what to feel, or not really being optimistic, but not really being pessimistic, just treading water right in the middle. And we have a nice little bell curve here on the poll, but a little bit more of the votes went towards being pessimistic. And we see 21% for optimistic, 22% pessimistic, but 9% for extremely pessimistic, 4% for extremely optimistic. Now, when it comes to the Raptors, if I'm kind of giving myself a ranking on how optimistic I typically am about the team, I put myself at about a 6.5. I like to feel a bit more optimistic. I like to give things the benefit of the doubt when I can. I don't like to be one of those fans that's always negative, trying to be pessimistic. I try to see the bright side of things, but I also try to be as realistic as possible. I think it is kind of my duty to do so in putting out content online and putting it out to there's many ways you can spin it. I would call it a very sizable platform at this point because look, that's a lot of people on the main channel, 17,000 people. I owe it to be honest and to showcase my true feelings about the team, but I also want to feel happy and excited about the team. So I don't really know how to feel after the draft lottery went down. I'm trying to kind of figure that out along the way here. The core in place, I'm happy about. I like it. But in the grand scheme of where every other team is situated in the NBA, how much faith can we really put into a core of Scottie Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, etc.? So to me, looking at this core, if I'm truly trying to be honest here, it would have been really nice to supplement it with another talented player who we could have selected in the top 6 of this draft. I get it was a lesser draft class, but it would have been nice to inject that talent into the team for this upcoming season. But Scottie Barnes is maybe going to sign a rookie max extension this summer. Emmanuel Quickley is a restricted free agent right now who the Raptors need to pay this summer. It's going to be difficult to start getting the pieces in place to supplement these guys, and there's question marks about what the actual ceiling of these players really is. So I was kind of toying with those sort of pessimistic thoughts about, is this really a core that you can see contending in 3 to 4 years' time? I'm not so sure about that. But the more I kind of thought about it, the more I kind of spun into this mindset that, these pathways aren't always clear. Success is not linear. I can't map out this perfect pathway to, okay, you start here, and all we got to do is just keep on building with this core, nice and easy all the way through. This is not GM mode. This is not a video game here. This is not my career where, you can just put the young players in place and you're fine. They'll just keep on getting better. And if you don't, you trade one away and you bring in somebody who's a little bit better. It's not as clear-cut a picture of that. So I think as far as the Raptors right now, Scottie Barnes is an all-star at 22 years old. There is a lot to be extremely optimistic in that regard. RJ Barrett showed, for probably the first time in his NBA career, some real signs of promise to be a top player in the league. Emmanuel Quickley has continued to take strides. Grady Dick looks like an extremely great complementary piece to add to the team. So I think there is a really good team somewhere in here down the line. Is it a team that's looking like a future contender, I'm not so sure, but you don't really need it to be right now. You just want to kind of figure out what this team actually is. We're in the middle of nowhere a little bit with the talent levels, I'd say. Not necessarily the middle of nowhere as far as direction. Raptors have done a good job of making amends for previous mistakes and putting the team on track, or at least on a track of some capacity throughout the season with the trades they made. But the core itself, we don't really know what the ceiling is going to be. Sure, there can be some pessimistic thoughts about the actual ceiling of it, but there's reason to be optimistic about this team continuing to develop and learning to be a competitive team. And when they do, the Raptors will have flexibility and options on how they want to supplement that, how they want to improve on that. So there's no need to really rush the process here. Part of the issue is we've had the taste of a championship. It's been 5 years now, but man, it's you just want to have that feeling again. You want to get back to that point. But the reality is, it took the Raptors like almost 25 years to get there. There's a lot of teams who've existed longer than the Raptors who do not have an NBA championship. So it's extremely difficult to get to that point. We don't need to rush it. Things don't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be a linear process in getting there. The Raptors can slowly build and see what they have with this current group and figure out how they need to supplement it down the line. This is not a situation that we're looking at like doom and gloom where, this is a team that's going to be worse next season. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think this team is going to slowly get better. It might be another difficult season next year where they don't make the playoffs, but, the outlook is that in a couple of years' time, this really should be a playoff team. I think that's completely fair to say. Next year, they should be a play-in team. They're in control of their own destiny as far as draft picks are concerned. So, if they fall back a little bit, I guess it's okay. You secure a better draft pick for the 2025 class rather than, what could have been a top 6 pick in the 2024 class. It is what it is. Again, we control our own destiny in that regard. But once this team starts to build, we'll have a clearer picture on what it needs, what it doesn't have. And down the line, if this doesn't work, we can reset and try again. But I don't think there's any reason to feel like, 22-year-old Scotty Barnes, 23-year-old RJ Barrett, 24-year-old Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick. How old's Grady Dick? Probably 20 or 21. There's no reason to suggest that this core can't continue to improve and take this team in a much better direction going forward. So, I don't really know how far this core can take this team, but I think it's okay to not really know where the core is going to take it. I think it's okay to be a little bit patient and kind of wait and see what things have in store for this team. There's no need to rush this process here. Look, we're on the outside of the playoff picture looking in at the moment. This is not, we're not the Lakers. We can't just sign somebody and we can't just make like a big time trade and change the outlook of the team overnight. This is going to be a process. Looking back on the process that started the 2019 championship team, the real start of that process was trading away Rudy Gay. Did we think a core of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry would eventually become the foundation for what would build an NBA championship, after trading away DeMar DeRozan? No, but you never know how these things turn out. You just want to put yourself in a better position on a year-to-year basis and see where it takes you. And I think that's what the Raptors are doing here. And, with the full commitment from the front office to being a team that's retooling, I think we're in a good spot now. Masai Ujiri did it once. I lost some faith in him in the last few years, but, started to build that back in the last 6 months. So hopefully we continue in that direction. Hopefully this team can get back to where it wants to be, right at the top of the NBA pile, but at the very least, back in contention at some point in the next, it won't be overnight, but somewhere in the near future, can we get back to that point? I think we can. So what's your outlook on the future of the Raptors? You let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. That's it for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Smash that subscribe button as well for more Raptors content. Check out my other channels and other pieces of content with the things around my head right now. And I'll see you guys again next time for another video right here on Amateur Sports 2.